Hey there, hi, welcome to the channel. I am Garrett and thank you for spending some time with me today. In this video, we're talking about some underrated, underappreciated, and maybe they're a little dated interior design styles and ideas that I think are amazing and we need to bring back. Now we've got some things to talk about, so let's get into the video. The first underrated interior design style that I love and I think we need to bring back, and I actually think will become a trend for 2023, is actually Craftsman. This is a great style for a number of reasons. Architecturally, these homes are great. They're rich, filled with detail and deep wood tones that I absolutely love, and a lot of people also really love this style of architecture for their homes. However, I think interior design, items, accessories, decor, and pieces in the Craftsman style will become so much more popular. We are looking for the next thing. That's constantly what's happening, and especially with a lot of the organic modern lovers, they look for what's the next thing that I can get to layer in the space, to add more detail, and what's affordable is going to be those Craftsman fixtures or pieces, and they actually have a very sculptural quality to them. A lot of them are angular, there's a lot of detail there. Especially now that I've mentioned it, everybody's gonna jump on it, and you know that's for sure. So get ahead of everyone and get those pieces now while they're still actually available and affordable. Look at them on those resale websites, auction houses, and be sure to look in vintage stores, antique stores, and lighting shops. There's a lot of amazing Craftsman style fixtures out there that could add a lot of detail to a lot of different spaces. Something else that I think is so beautiful and so underrated, but I think we can make popular again, and we should, is actually Tapestry. I love this so much because it adds a lot to a very neutral or minimal space, and you can layer these pieces in to add a little bit more character, a little bit of that traditional design element juxtaposed with something modern and contemporary is so chic. I absolutely love Tapestry because you get a very large scale piece. A lot of these big pieces are available and they haven't been popular for a while. And while a lot of the pricing for Tapestry is based on its age and condition, you can find a lot of affordable options out there, and you also don't have to use an actual tapestry for this. You could use a vintage or antique rug that's really beautiful and highly detailed and hang it on your wall. These are amazing for those of you that really like large scale art, or you have very tall ceilings, a big empty wall. And let's not forget the fact that as Tapestry ages, it becomes more muted. So you get a lot of rich, neutral tones in these pieces. Truly a magnificent piece of art to have in a home. I love Tapestry. I think it's amazing, unique, interesting, and different, and it comes in a lot of different styles as well. One of my favorite interior design finishes, details, items, things is actually trompe l'oeil. This is beautiful in a number of different ways. Now, the definition of trompe l'oeil is actually hyper-realistic art, and it's a lot of different things. It's incorporated in a lot of different ways. You see this in highly decorative and painted ceilings and murals, and you also see it in furniture, home decor, items and accessories, and lamps. This looks like fabric that is draped. And typically it's made out of plaster or a resin-like material to create this effect. I love it, and I think it adds a lot of visual interest and texture to a space. I think it's very unique, and a lot of people would also really love it. If you're considering incorporating some of this into your house, I think it works with every style. Those of you that have organic modern will really love it because it adds something visually interesting, another layer to the space, and it typically is created in a warm off-white tone. However, those of you that have more traditional style spaces, you may like the more wicker basket version of this, and it adds something really interesting, that one-off item that's a real conversation piece that I really love. This was very popular in the 1980s and kind of fell off trend, but I think it's something that's really interesting, unique, and a lot of people would really love and is worth embracing in your space. One interior design idea, trend, object, thing that I think everyone will love, and I do see becoming more popular, is actually fabric pleated lights. Now, we all know those like rice paper lights that are kind of the balls that have been in for a little while, and I think they're cool, but what we are seeing now and what I think we're gonna see so much more of are fabric pleated lights, because it adds a lot of layering to it when you have the folds in the fabric. There's just so much detail there. These are handcrafted and beautiful, and it's an offshoot of those kind of just big round rice paper ball lights that I think are really cool, but are kind of becoming a bit played out. This is different, it's unique, and it doesn't have to be in a round shape. We often see them in ovals, which is really great for a long space, for a dining room, for hanging higher to the ceiling, and a lot of people love that. Because these have a fabric shade on them, you get a very glowy light that is not harsh or glaring, which of course is absolutely amazing. But the thing to remember is that any sort of fabric lighting option is going to get dust on it. And these especially, and it's not always easy to wipe off a piece of fabric, so you may have to vacuum it, you may have to take a lint roller to it to get dust off of a fixture, and that's not always ideal. You all know I'm constantly telling you to be realistic in your space about what you can actually take care of, not just what looks good, which is why if you haven't already, you should take a moment and join the LeChic family by hitting that subscribe button and turning on the bell notification to get notified every time I upload. Also, be sure you share with me after you have done so that I can personally welcome you to the channel. Another interior design idea, trend, something that's fallen out of fashion that I really would love to see us bring back is wood paneling. And I'm not just talking about paneling on a wall that's made of wood and then painted, I'm talking about rich wood tones. I absolutely adore a wood tone in a space because of the warmth it brings, because of the callback to nature it brings into a space. I think wood paneling is amazing. Wood everything, wood cabinetry, wood paneling, even wood ceiling details. This is something you should consider bringing into your home or leaving alone in your home if you already have it. It fell out of fashion in the 1970s because we did a lot of faux wood alternative paneling, which was not great. However, it's something we should bring back because a lot of this is so cool. There's something for every style. If you like the really sleek, chic, minimalistic, even mid-century, consider just flat wood paneling on a wall, just covering the entire surface. That's amazing. But if you also like a lot more of those traditional details, something like applied molding, Tudor paneling, something like that can be very, very interesting to a space and add a lot of character and warmth. I think wood paneling is amazing and everyone should consider it for their home and what style they have in their home architecturally and your furniture, your personal aesthetic, and see what type of wood paneling would actually work for you. Thin plank floors are something I've talked about before and I absolutely love. I think we're going to see more of them and I wish we would. I hope we will, because honestly, I'm just a little bit over the wide plank floor. Now, that's not to say I think it's dated, because wood is great in every instance you can use it in, and I absolutely love it. Wide plank floors became very popular because people love to see a lot of wood grain, and they were a lot easier to install. As I'm sure you can imagine, putting in lots of little pieces takes more time than one large piece. So it was very popular, it still is. I love thinner planked wood floors because they just have so much detail to them, especially right now with what's happening in design, and people really like things that are a little bit pulled back, more subdued, minimalistic. So having more impactful wood grain and fine details in flooring can really make a big difference and impact a space. We also don't tend to see really thin planked wood flooring in pre-finished options, so it is a little bit more of a high-end finish or detail. It's worth considering in your home if you're doing the floors, if you have those thin plank floors, continuing them throughout the rest of your home, because it can look a little bit weird when you have really thin plank floors next to wide plank floors. If you really like wide plank wood floors, I say go for it. If you like the thinner plank, go for them also, because when it comes to a wood floor, you can't go wrong. Oversized art is what I think we need right now. We absolutely need oversized art because I love it. Massive pieces of art are so gorgeous because they create a big impact, especially for those of us that like a little bit more of a minimalistic space. Having that one big piece can be so bold and impactful that I absolutely think this will become so much more popular and we need to bring it back. However, it is worth remembering that large scale art takes a lot more time, a lot more effort, and a lot more material, so they tend to be more expensive. You can get smaller pieces of art and collage them. You could even get a beautiful wallpaper and have it framed, and you can use that as a multi-panel piece of art. Large-scale artwork is beautiful, and we all love it when you have something just gorgeous and big and impactful in front of you. It really is a showstopper that I think is worth bringing back and bringing into our spaces and homes. You of course want to stick to artwork that is the appropriate size for your home, so don't think just because something is big, it's going to be the perfect thing or really great in your space. You want to be sure it actually fits, that way you can showcase that piece of art in the best light possible. However, it's also worth considering the size of your space and what art you already have. Maybe it's worth collaging some other pieces together to create the impact of a large-scale piece of art without having to shell out the money for that big piece that may not work for you later on down the road. So think about it and consider large-scale art and your home and how those things can work together. Because I love large-scale art, but I also think it's really important to have appropriate sized art in your space. Something I've always loved but have felt is underappreciated are retro fireplaces. I think modern design moved to this place where we're like, oh yeah, it's simple, it's easy, it's just square lines, so let's do what's easy and simple on a fireplace also. Like, I don't like that. I've expressed before, I don't love those long, slender fireplaces. I prefer something that's more interesting and unique. I like a normal, traditional style fireplace. However, if you are that person that has like a commitment to modern design, look for more retro fireplaces or consider having one installed in your home. These are really cool. Typically, they're multi-sided, if not open all around. This can be really interesting in a living room, in a transitional space, or even an open concept space. I absolutely love these because they're just a little bit different. They're a little bit more impactful. And when we're talking about modern design, we tend to have more minimalistic color schemes, shapes and forms in furniture, accessories, and decor. So I think having something impactful like a really cool, interesting retro style fireplace can have a really big impact. It's also worth taking inspiration from more traditional style fireplaces and seeing how you can incorporate those elements into your home and into your space. I think a fireplace is a great focal piece, a statement to have in a room, but it's also not necessary if you don't live in an area that requires it. So consider what your home needs, what you want in the space, and what kind of impact you can make in your home. Because a retro fireplace may not be for everyone, but they certainly can look amazing in a more modern style home. One of my absolute favorite architectural items when it comes to design are Archtop Windows. This is gorgeous and I love them. They also kind of fell out of fashion with architecture, especially in the United States in the 1980s, because they're difficult to get window treatments for and to install. This is not the easiest thing because you have an arch top, and then if you do a square top drapery, then you kind of have these weird triangular shapes of walls that are empty there, or you end up having one of those like fans that fill up the arch and then another drapery option underneath. They can be a little bit difficult to design around, which I understand. However, if you look at some European or Parisian or even apartments in Barcelona, you see these windows and they are spectacular and beautiful, and they can create such a bold impact and a statement. And the whole idea of them was actually to have swagged drapes on either side to fill in those empty spaces. So it makes a little bit more sense when you look at it that way. However, the good thing about these is that if you install them in a place that doesn't require a lot of privacy, you don't really have to worry so much about drapes. You know, I always say when it comes to drapes, take them to the ceiling to increase the amount of vertical lines in the space to make the room look more vertical as opposed to linear. And these windows are great for that because they tend to be very tall. We also don't see them super often because right now the standard ceiling height is about 9 feet. And to have the correct proportions and impact of these windows, you tend to want something that's a few feet taller. So if you have a tall ceiling, if you're designing a home that has that, it's worth considering whether or not these will work for you because they can have a big impact and be beautiful in a space and let in a ton of natural light. I absolutely love these because this is the type of architectural feature that becomes a focal point, that makes a big impact and is actually very useful. Consider some of these archtop windows in your space because they are beautiful, they're absolutely spectacular, and create a big impact. And if you have it already, embrace it. I'm jealous and I love that for you. Something I see designers do often, but I don't see a lot of everywhere else, I don't see a lot of people using, is a mix of different stones. I absolutely love natural stone in a home. I think it's so rich and vibrant and a callback to nature. I think it's beautiful and something we all need, but I also love to see different variations of stone mixed together. Opt for a white marble mixed with a red-brown tone. Opt for black and green marble together. That can have such a big impact and be so bold in such a natural way. If you don't like the look of these smaller tiles because they can be quite graphic, consider larger scale tiles or even slabs of stone that are just a little bit different. This is something we have seen throughout design and history for a very long time, and I absolutely love it. It does feel very glamorous and very polished. However, it can be very simple. It can be very understated if you want that to be. And I'm not just talking about let's mix white and gray marble. I'm talking about something a little bit more bold, impactful, but you can still have warmth in the space. And even consider mixing something like marble and travertine. These are two amazing natural stones that can play really beautifully off each other. Consider mixing stones in your home, in your space, in your kitchen, in your bathrooms when you are redoing them, but just remember that you don't want anything that's too personal because it can just be a little bit dated very quickly or it can feel very overwhelming. Something like pink and black marble might not be the most timeless element in your home, and you may not want that to be around forever. Well, there you have it, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure to share with me what is one dated or unpopular interior design element you love and you want to see come back because you love it, and we all love it too. Just remind us, darling, in the comments section. Give this video a like and be sure to subscribe. I also know that you know someone that they have got one of these underrated items in their home and they're gonna get rid of it, and you're like, you're crazy. Send this video to them because friends help friends. And I will see you in the next one.